Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode of iTrack. Big shout out to everybody that is just tapped in, man. Major shout out to all the members and the fam that is currently in the building. In today's episode, we'll be taking a look at how the humanoid robots are actually taking over jobs overseas. That's right, internationally. We'll also be taking a look at all the earthquakes that have been happening back to back in Area 51. But before we do any of that, do me the biggest favor and smash that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button if you're not a part of the iTrack fam, and hit that hype button for good measure, and let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Well, this evening, the airport now using robots. They'll soon be joining baggage handlers at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Japan Airlines is starting a 2-year trial with the humanoid robots to see if they can help with baggage handling and cleaning the aircraft. Japan Airlines says the industry is facing challenges with an aging and shrinking workforce.
There's a statue in Peru that looks out of this world. It's located in Chiclayo at Paseo Yortuk. Most people walk past it without noticing what it really is. It represents an ancient figure from the Moche civilization, known for its unique symbolic designs. Some of its features look almost reptile-like, which makes it really unusual. What do you think it represents?
Clearly, it represents all the reptilians that are working behind the scenes to control everything.
This was the terrifying moment a driver realized he was about to be carjacked. He turns down a narrow street at night and is immediately met by a group of men waving weapons that look like machetes. But instead of backing out, he moves forward, only to realize the road has been deliberately blocked. 2 large tanker trucks are positioned on the street, and a fallen tree is laid out between them, leaving almost no way through. Within seconds, the men rush the car and start smashing the windows, trying to force their way inside. The driver panics but stays moving, squeezing the car through a tight gap along the side of the road, barely clearing the obstacles as the attackers were closing in. He manages to break past them and speed off before they can get the doors open. Incidents like this are a known tactic across parts of the world where organized roadside robberies happen frequently, with criminals blocking roads to trap drivers before surrounding the vehicle. It's not clear where this particular clip took place, but the setup matches methods that have been commonly reported across the globe.
This photo was taken in front of a 7,000-year-old mining shaft. Yeah, humans have been mining out of this shaft for 7,000 years. It's located in Chile, and if you didn't notice, there's something extra in the photo. An apparition can be seen standing next to this cargo crate. It even appears to be wearing old mining clothing. Now, of course, due to the age, there are so many ghost stories associated with this mine, because so many people have lost their lives in this mine. But these miners aren't only encountering spirits in these mines. There have been several accounts where people have had a very horrible feeling, like they're being watched. They feel a very heavy dread being in certain parts of these mines, and some people have even claimed to be attacked by something within these mines, or they came out of the mine with scratches and gashes all over them. And this photo is just proof to what these workers are seeing within these 7,000-year-old mining shafts. What do you guys think? Let me know.
Area 51 has been hit by 3 earthquakes in just 24 hours, sparking fears of underground nuclear tests at the top-secret base. The strongest tremor at the Nevada base hit a 4.4 magnitude, with an expert saying that nobody can fully rule out a secret underground nuclear test. The area is not known for seismic activity, with the biggest tremor hitting just 2.5 miles below the surface, a shallow depth that experts say makes it all the more unusual. Area 51 is known for stockpiling nuclear weapons and testing the systems used to deliver them.
Now, Area 51 is like the mother of all conspiracies. In fact, it seems to spawn conspiracies on a daily basis. I mean, who's to say what exactly is causing those earthquakes, but I'm sure we'll come up with the conspiracy any day now.
We have a lot of crazy things happening in the world right now. A jar of almond butter right now costs about $24, and a 50-inch flat screen TV is on average about $188, or like 8 jars of almond butter. A dad missed his flight because his son drew all over his passport and he didn't discover it until he was at the airport showing TSA. A man is suing a casino after waking up in handcuffs with $75,000 in debt that he doesn't remember. A new bill that bans chemtrails is being talked about in South Carolina right now. It's being discovered right now that some people with severe dementia or major brain damage can have full clarity of their mind shortly before death in a phenomenon called terminal lucidity. Almost everyone in Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire" is now somehow not alive. An IBM training manual from 1979 said a computer can never be held accountable, therefore a computer must never make a management decision. My name's Adorian, follow me to stay in the loop.
They can't be in sunlight. They have very thin skin with a dense capillary bed right under this translucent skin. They would burn horribly in sunlight, so you'll never see a tall gray out in the sunshine. The short grays, the little worker bees, they have a little bit of padding under their skin, a little bit of subcutaneous fat. They have the ability to be in sunlight for short periods, not as long as you or I could.
Like a familiar.
But they're able to tolerate our biosphere better, and I think they're engineered that way in order to do the home and take people like me out of my bed.
So what's your best theory on why it is they are here? Because, I'm sure there's nutrition elsewhere. What's so special about here? Why do you think the Zetas come here?
It's a huge conversation unto itself, but I'll give you the cliff notes. I think that their planet is smaller than Earth. That's why they're taller. And if you look at
wouldn't that make them smaller?
No, they lower gravity.
But if you put a shark in like an aquarium, the shark is smaller. Do you know what I mean? Like if the environment is less conducive to having large things on it, you know what I mean? Wouldn't that make them?
I don't think, no, because there's still a lot of surface area on a planet bigger than Mars, but smaller than Earth. There's still a lot of surface area.
The drought that we are in, they believe that by the end of summer, if things don't change, we will be in the drought of 1610. The drought of 1610 was the breaking point. Nobody could grow anything. Saw a story about the Hoover Dam. When you look at the Hoover Dam, that is providing, I think it's 25 million people with their electricity, mainly California, Nevada. To generate electricity, you need to have a lot of water behind that dam. If this doesn't correct itself, you're going to have major electricity shortages. By 2027, 2028, if we don't get miraculous rain here, California is in real trouble.
Now, just to connect the dots on all these water rights these billionaires are buying up, it makes sense as to why they would let these dams dry out, just so they can up the price on the water we drink on a daily basis.
I found the body. It was in a state of decomposition. This thing smelled like hell. We had to remove the internal organs. We had to put polymers and stuff on the skin. We had to drain out the brain. We drilled some holes in it and poured some acid. We did harvest the reproductive bone. We call it a baculum. The baculum exists in polar bears and other mammals. A lot of these mammals that existed do not procreate for like a family, and this is what we believe is part of why we don't see a lot of Bigfoot, is they don't maintain a family unit. Okay, they procreate in a very aggressive way and go their separate ways.
Sorry, but how the hell is this happening? This is all the good news in 60 seconds. AI systems developed by companies such as Google's DeepMind have successfully created cancer-detecting AI systems. There's multiple NHS-backed trials taking place as well, and they're now able to analyze and scan patient data to detect cancer. Things such as lung and breast cancer before the symptoms actually even appear. They are trained on millions and millions of medical images, spotting tiny patterns that are there before the cancer even fully occurs. This could genuinely change the world. More and more countries are now actually trialling a 4-day work week, including a lot of UK corporations. Backed by organisations such as 4-Day Week Global, they found that productivity stayed the same, or if not increased a lot, while burnout dropped significantly and people actually enjoy being in work 10 times more. As a result of this, more companies are adopting this full time, meaning people are working less hours for the same pay with better mental health and output. Let me know if you'd want this. There are now self-healing materials being developed by scientists, and yeah, I don't know how this is happening. They have developed polymers and other materials that can repair themselves after damage, inspired heavily by how human skin actually heals, but it does it 10 times faster. These materials contain microcapsules or reversible chemical bonds that actually reconnect to each other when broken. These are already being tested in industries such as on electrical products or even in construction, meaning things like cracks and damage can just fix themselves. And if that works there, then it may come to us with the human body.
They discuss all the time about how AI is going to take over everybody's job, but what they don't discuss enough is how AI could possibly put Big Pharma out of business too, by creating all these cures that can actually be useful.
I was in a session about a year ago, and the demon looks around in the room, and he's just trying to get in. He just tries, just like, you know how it works. It's all psyops, and he's trying to get in everybody's head. And he looks around and he said, "There's lust in this room. I can smell it." So he's given us. Now, he's only speaking because God's making him give us information. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, is it?" Is it you? Is it you? It's not me, you know? You know what I mean? He's just trying to get in our heads.
Who farted?
Like, exactly. That's what he's just trying to get in their head. But he's telling us two things. He's revealing something that we have to.
Wait for it. Right there. Did you catch it? I was watching this podcast 52 because I got really interested when they started talking about aliens needing copper to consume, and that's why they mutilate cows for the copper in their blood. And then they started referring to humans. Right there. Yep, they walk among us.
Hollywood hates this film because it clearly proves God's existence. Written by philosopher of science Dr. Stephen Meyer, the documentary lays out a powerful case that modern science is directly pointing to a creator. Discoveries in cosmology, biology, and physics, from the origin of the universe to the complex information inside the DNA, are revealing patterns that look far more like intentional design rather than just random chance. This film, called The Story of Everything, is literally going to shatter the atheistic lies that we were taught, all in the name of science.
They're the same size. This is called an Ames room. It looks normal, but it's actually warped. One side is way closer to the camera than the other. So when they switch spots, one suddenly looks huge.
Talk about camera tricks. I mean, there were no edits, no pauses, no cuts. If you missed that, go ahead and rewind it back. That was a pretty awesome optical illusion.
You've been a pilot for 43 years. Wow. What shape is the planet? Flat. Yeah. We're supposed to keep it a secret.
So I don't know if you noticed, but this is actually an insect that is pretending to be a stick when disturbed. So the way it does it is it tucks its legs closer to its body and it holds its first two front legs against its antennae. Here is the same stick insect on a leaf. And in a moment we'll get a close-up of its head. And now you can see the antennae and the eyes. And it's woken up. Off it goes.
The number one sign that somebody is insecure, according to psychology, is that they constantly feel the need to remind you who they know, what they've accomplished, and how they're more correct than you are.
The video I'm about to show you, fair warning, it's a little bit shocking, so continue if you want, but first I'm going to lay some context. In 2024, a 1,000-plus-year-old mummy was discovered in a cave in Mexico. Now, all of this is public knowledge. It's been recorded by the government, and the mummy has been collected. But after scientists and researchers started to analyze this mummy that was found, they came to the conclusion that only 70% of it was human DNA. Now, let's pump the brakes for 2 seconds, because humans, they share DNA 60% with bananas, 5% with mice, and 98 to 99 with chimpanzees. So just automatically assuming it's alien DNA isn't entirely true, but after you see this video, it is 100% an alien mummy. Take a look at this video, and all of this is actual factual news that you can go down the rabbit hole, and I highly encourage it. Take a look at this video. There have been a lot of people trying to debunk this, but we all know when you try so hard to debunk something, it's actually true.
Number one thing that people regret on their deathbed is, I should have treated it more like a game. I should have figured out what was important in the game and done what was actually important. No matter what you're going through, you make a poster and put this up on your wall. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a game.
Now, those are some real gems, because oftentimes we forget that life is just a journey and we have to enjoy the process.
I was reading online today that you can't swim with dolphins if you're pregnant. And the reason for this supposedly is they use echolocation to detect the developing fetus heartbeat and fluid shifts inside the womb. And it's a safety concern because of how intrigued they are by the whole thing. But the real reason, dolphins are aliens and they're communicating with your baby inside of your stomach. Or something like that, I don't know. But dolphins will press their snouts against a pregnant woman's belly and emit high-intensity buzzes, a social technique they use to examine other pregnant dolphins or their own calves. Or Or, you know, they say kids are more receptive to ghosts and spirits and things like that. Maybe they're more receptive to aliens, because, you know, dolphins are aliens. So in reality, those buzzes that they're making on the pregnant woman's belly, they're actually communicating with that kid, and the government doesn't want you to communicate with those dolphins, especially as a little baby. Is this true, or am I just rambling on? I don't know, but there's definitely something up with the ocean that we don't know. None of it's really been explored at this point. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy did tell us some stuff about dolphins. For all we know, those dolphins are telling those babies that mermaids do exist, and they don't want us to know that. Or it's just a safety concern because they don't want the pregnant women to get hurt by the dolphins. Or aliens.
The things that you think that are normal but are not. Part one. There's a lot of things that people experience and assume is a part of their everyday life, but they're actually a little bit more than that. Like thinking about somebody randomly and then they call you, or walking into a room and immediately feeling off and wondering why, or having very vivid dreams that stick with you longer than what they really should. We brush those off as coincidences all the time. But usually you're picking up on something beyond your five senses.
Chinese court just said that it's illegal to fire people and replace them with AI. And if you think this will lower your job replacement risk, I'm not so sure. So a tech company in Hangzhou replaced one of their employees with AI. They basically said, hey, you can stay, but you will get a pay cut. He said no, so they fired him, then he sued the company. But the funny thing is, the court actually said the firing was illegal. So they took a hard stance that companies cannot legally fire employees simply to replace them with cost-saving AI. They're not saying that companies cannot use AI. They said that choosing to adopt AI is a voluntary business decision. It's not an earthquake, it's not a pandemic. It is something that you're choosing to do. And if you choose it, you can't just dump around all the risk of the decision on your employees. Now, do I think this is going to stop companies from replacing people with AI? No, obviously not, but it's going to change how they do it. You can't just swap a person for a chatbot and just call it restructuring. At least not in China, it seems. Now, I don't know how other courts or other countries will deal with this. When other employees start suing their company because they're being replaced by AI, I think the most likely scenario in the near future is saying that the job requires a different skill set, and that's going to be the restructuring in the organization, then start hiring people with the AI skill set. So if I were you, I wouldn't be thinking about if AI can do my job for me, but whether the company I work for is kind of company that would help you upskill with what you need, or they're going to start looking for ways to replace you entirely. And that probably has more impact on the future than any new AI model release.
The clip, which was captured in late 2021, is an excerpt from a CCTV security feed overlooking a back street. We see two men walking along the dark road when something truly strange happens. Take a look. Naturally, all kinds of theories have been thrown around the internet to try and explain this bizarre footage. Some say it's some kind of supernatural protection like a jinn or a genie. Others say it had to be a guardian angel. So where do you land on this viral clip? Paranormal protector or something else entirely? Share your theories with one another in the comments down below.
This chart shows brain size over the course of evolution. So our brains got way bigger and now they're shrinking? What do you mean? First, what happened here? If we look at a side-by-side of a human with our closest living relative, a chimpanzee, there are a few key differences. Of course, we have a bigger brain, but we also have a weaker jaw and a much shorter digestive tract compared to our body size, which should be an issue because the bigger brains require a lot of energy. Up to 20% of your body's total energy. That's a lot of energy for one organ. A shorter digestive tract can't really support that, so scientists think that we outsourced some of the work to fire. Cooking food breaks down starches and unravels proteins, making it easier to digest. This is a widely accepted theory about how we got big brains. But the problem is, this leap happened long before we have any physical evidence that our ancestors could control fire. So there's still a lot of scientific questions here, including this now. Our brains are getting smaller, but maybe smaller is better? To learn more, follow along.
The Pentagon is asking vendors to provide bunkers within 30 days, along with the highest threat level it can withstand, and it's got a few people concerned. Ever since a whistleblower came out a couple years ago claiming that a $21 trillion bunker was built underground for the elite, people have speculated that the rich and wealthy are preparing for something that the general public doesn't know about. As far as what they're preparing for, I've seen so many theories, from people believing that a meteor is headed towards Earth that scientists and wealthy people know for a fact will impact and affect the world, to others believing that we are about to go into a world war at which the rich and wealthy will go underground for a little bit and hide while it all blows over on the surface. As far as I'm concerned, this is all talked about in the book of Revelation anyway. It literally says that the kings and nobles will hide themselves beneath the mountains and rocks from the Lord. But what do you think about all this?
Weird fact of the day. The idea that ghosts look like this, where they're kind of translucent and float, is extremely recent, and it came about for an extremely specific reason. And I think it's really fascinating because it gets to how human culture is formed. Now, almost every culture in history has ghosts, and they show up in a million different ways. In some cases, they come back and possess animals, or they possess people, or they show up and they can only be seen at night. But prior to the 19th century, they were never described as this. They either just looked like normal, solid people. In some stories, the ghosts would physically attack you, or they would open doors or break down doors. And while they had the ability to disappear or suddenly appear in a room, they were never described like this. Until this invention came along. Back in the early 1800s, before cinema, when people were extremely bored, they invented this device which could project a still image onto a screen. And this gave rise to horror shows called phantasmagoria, where the audience would gather in a darkened room and a screen would be lowered and they would project onto the screen skeletons and monsters and all sorts of other scary things. But because of the technical limitations of the technology, they could only be portrayed as floating. They couldn't walk around the floor. And because of the screen and the projector, they were always translucent. And according to this book by Susan Owens, The Ghost, A Cultural History, it was only after those shows became popular that you started to see the translucent ghost turn up in stories. This was also around the time of the dawn of photography, and then back then, because of the technology, you used to have to sit perfectly still for a very long time for it to develop properly on the film. This is why people rarely smiled in those photos. You couldn't hold a smile for several minutes. If you got up early or if you moved, it would accidentally create this ghostly image, and it did not take long for photographers to start selling ghost captured on film pictures. And from then on, when people claimed to see a ghost in their home, they would see this, the thing from the phantasmagoria, the floating, translucent spirit. I feel like this is incredibly important to understand. Not only did media influence and totally alter our concept of what a human soul or spirit looked like, but a physical and technical limitation in that media did it. But 500 years from now, people will probably still be seeing this kind of ghost because of it.
Guys, new footage is now starting to surface of the scientist that was researching anti-gravity. She's in a complete panic in the video, saying that she was being hit by some kind of energy weapon and she has the burns on her body to prove it. Her name was Amy Eskridge, and she wasn't just working on free energy, she was actually trying to research how to manipulate gravity itself. She claimed that this has been discovered 4 different times, and every single time it was covered up before it could go public. In the video, she's working on a computer that isn't even connected to the internet. She says that somebody is scanning what she's typing through the window, and it's burning her hands while she's typing.
My hands still burn because there's damage, but it's like my body relaxed when we barricaded the shit. And it was like, oh, like relief, like immediately.
Whenever she went to block the window, she said that the burning stopped immediately and there was an outline of her body left on the glass. You can literally see her posture in the window as if it was an X-ray. A former CIA weapons expert on her team identified the exact device, and he said that it was powered by car batteries inside of a vehicle that was parked outside of her home. And actually, for 4 to 5 years straight, she reported multiple different times that an Eastern European man in a Lexus had been parked outside of her house watching her. Amy Eskridge is the woman that texted her friend and said that if they say that I did this to myself, I did not, and then they ruled it as self-inflicted. She predicted exactly what they would say. They said it. I'm going to be staying updated on this, so make sure you add me and come back for more.
So they are definitely out here using these direct energy beam type weapons if you are barking up the wrong tree. That is pretty wild.
Watch this. Mountain lions are some of the most stealthy predators in North America, and also they get very big. And you can see in this video, it is basically impossible to see a mountain lion unless they have that eye shine going on. And that eye shine is just reflecting light. So once it gets dark, if light hits a mountain lion in the face, you can see it very easily because their eyes reflect that light so brightly. And even here, you can see it's kind of low light, and any type of light makes those eyes reflect like that. But in this video, you can see how perfectly camouflaged that mountain lion is. And if you took that eye shine away, it's basically impossible to see. That mountain lion blends in perfectly. And that's just what they do when they hunt. They're predators that are very, very patient. And they will sit and wait to the perfect time. They don't rely on speed to get their prey down. They'll get as close as they can, as quiet as they can, and then once they're close enough, they'll just burst at them with a little bit of speed, grab their prey, and then it's pretty much over.
There's a theory that the Hoover Dam is secretly a demonic throne and that the government put angels there to cover it up. When you go to the Hoover Dam, you're gonna see something really odd. There's a spot that has 2 giant winged statues made out of bronze. They look like angels, right? They are technically called the winged figures of the Republic, but this is the weird part. No one officially says what they are. They're not angels, they're not demons, they're figures. And that's not random. There's actually a floor underneath them that is a cosmic map. It shows the exact alignment of the stars the day that the dam was completed. Like they wanted like aliens or gods to find this later. You'd think it's just some like artsy little design, right? But the guy who made that design said that this is specifically supposed to last for thousands of years. Like that design was supposed to outlive our civilization. And this is where it gets a little darker. People also call this place the throne of the devil. But why would a dam need a cosmic star map and then 2 20, 30-foot bronze guardians? And then all of these like occult looking type symbols.
A giant dragon, yeah, dragon, found on Google Earth in Taiwan. This stuff is just so crazy that all over the earth we have these amazing finds, and none of these scientists even want to talk about it, right? They push this dinosaur and this used to be bird nonsense. Meanwhile, we have these giant fossils of these dragons just all over the earth. I've seen so many just myself. These are just the spines. You know, you've seen the pictures and everything of dragons. They're based on a real thing. Even Columbus saw them, you know, when he discovered, quotations, America. Look at that. And still they peddle this nonsense about these birds that turned into dinosaurs. I already have like a 5-10 minute subscriber video on dragons, dinosaurs, or giants, because I believe they're using all these giant bones to make their own concoctions to say things that were supposedly here, you know, billions, millions of years ago. They never tell us the truth about anything, but it's still all out there for every eye to see. By the way, I keep seeing these orbs in all different shots in Taiwan in these mountains.
Guys, this is absolutely serious. I need you to listen to me. They are not data centers. There's a couple data centers going up, but these huge facilities they're building out in the country and these podunk towns, they are not data centers. They are FEMA camps. They are FEMA camps for when shit hits the fan and they need a place to put people who are dissenters and who are not going to go along with the plan. There's 3 types of people. People that are going to go along with it and are their workforce, people who are undecided and can be changed, the people that will not go along with it. They are not data centers. You've been warned.
Facts about the human body that will 100% trigger you. There could be mites having sex on your eyelashes right now and you would have no way of knowing. Most people think the brain feels like wet clay, but the human brain actually feels like melted butter. Without special chemicals, you wouldn't even be able to pick it up. The brain has no pain receptors, meaning it's possible for people to stay awake and talk to doctors while they're performing brain surgery on them. Men can actually produce milk. It's more common than you think. Most men are just too ashamed to admit it. And it can be triggered by starvation. Concentration camp survivors were given food after being starved for weeks, and for some reason, they started lactating. There's a kind of tumor that can cause teeth to grow in a woman's ovaries and a male's testicles. Since you have about 100 million bacterial cells in your body compared to 10 million human cells, you're actually more bacteria than human. Since you shed about 40,000 skin cells a day, the dust you see in your house actually used to be part of you. Which means every time you breathe in someone else's house, you could be inhaling thousands of somebody else's skin flakes. When you really think about it, we're all just 3-pound brains piloting meat bicycles we call bodies. You produce more earwax when you're stressed, and stress earwax smells way worse than the regular stuff.
Today, as promised, I'm going to try to catch the little mites that live inside the pores of our skin. For those of you new here, these are what are called Demodex mites. They live inside the pores of our face and eat our oil. They're normal and very common, but can I find them on my skin? Let's get to it, and I'm going to warn you, I was not fully prepared for what I found. So the night before, I took Scotch packing tape and put a strip on my nose and then my forehead and then went to sleep. And in the morning, I took those strips off and taped into a fresh piece of tape so they weren't sticky. And then brought them to the office, and this is what they look like. You can see all that oil and debris there. Very similar to a pore strip, but let's see if I could actually find anything once I put it under that microscope. It's so hard to film on a microscope, but I eventually got a good shot, so let's zoom in and see that. Can you see that little guy there? That, my friends, is a Demodex mite. And I'm kind of freaked out that I actually have them. So let's zoom in. Do you see that? It's waving its legs at me. It's still alive. I was not expecting that. Isn't he cute? But what should we name him? And then I found something even cooler. Demodex mite lovers! They're in love! Look at that! I think I'll name these two Jim and Pam. Okay, so I think that's enough nerding out for me today. But there you have it. I have Demodex just like you.
Note to self. Don't panic. But you got mites living on your forehead, bruh. Yeah. Simple soap won't help. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
So we're very close to redefining what a second is. Researchers in China have just built a clock that is accurate to a billionth of a second. Now, I'm sure you've heard of atomic clocks, right? For 60 years, we have defined a second using an atomic clock. But this thing is 1,000 times more accurate than an atomic clock. If 1 billion years passed by, this thing would only be off by 1 second. It uses a new technology. It's an optical lattice clock. What it does is it takes strontium atoms and it cools them down to close to absolute zero temperatures, and then it traps them in a lattice of light. So atomic clocks measure microwaves, right? Which look like this. But an optical lattice clock counts light waves, which oscillate much faster. And so you can think of this like counting ticks. And so this ends up being a much finer ruler to measure time with. And so we are going to use this to redefine the second, most likely by 2030. All right, so there's this clock in China. There's 1 or 2 other clocks that also kind of work, and when we have 3 really good ones, then we can completely change the second. It would be the first time we have done this in 60 years. And this stuff sounds silly, but it could lead to huge advances because this allows us to measure things like the relativity of time at a much narrower time scale. It could even help us detect dark matter. Like, it really is genuinely very useful in physics.
Walter Disney was a high-ranking Freemason. He has a Masonic stamp dedicated to him, and his very exclusive Club 33, which stands for the 33 degrees of Freemasonry. And who's the god of the 33rd degree Freemason, Walt Disney? Well, Walter hides the answer in plain sight, because that's what Freemasons do. Firstly, the god of Mr. Disney is wicked. See how they veil evil with a cloak of innocence? What does the word veil itself conceal? Secondly, Walter's god is horny, symbolized by the horned god of the witches. And we all know Walt Disney loves magic, which is witchcraft. So the depictions of sex are hidden in plain sight as well. Remember, lust produces life, not love. So lust is purity, lust is love for the high degree Freemason. And thirdly, he hides the number of his god's name in the open as well. No, that's not a 666 he's seeing interwoven in the design. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Not even when they separate the sixes from the name, all 3 of them, and place them together for you like this, in plain sight. No, not even then will people see.
The World's Most Cursed Items, Part 8. Now this one seriously creeps me out, like I hate the look of this thing. This is the Swansea Devil statue located in Wales. This creepy thing has quite the story, beginning at the end of the 19th century. It all starts when they decided to rebuild the Swansea St. Mary's Church. The design was up for grabs, and one architect, Sir Arthur Blomfield, won the contract. The rebuild was complete in 1896 and it won almost universal acclaim. But one architect from the city felt overlooked and he was seeking revenge. revenge. He actually bought the properties next to the church and turned them into offices. Atop one of his buildings, he placed the Swansea Devil statue staring right at the church. To the locals, he became known as Old Nick. The architect then proclaimed these words, "My devil will be able to leer and laugh, for at some future time he will see St. Mary's Church burned to the ground." And that is exactly what happened. During World War II, there was a bombing campaign and it destroyed St. Mary's Church. Amazingly though, the Swansea Devil and the building he was fixated on was untouched. He actually remained there until 1962 when the offices were demolished. It then seemingly vanished without a trace until the 1980s when it was found in an antique dealer's garage. As of 2019, he is now at the Swansea Museum. Whether the legend is true or not, the curators at the museum made sure to position him so he still faces the same church.
Imagine filming a movie about the Antichrist, and suddenly the set feels cursed in real life. That's exactly what happened on The Omen. In 1976, The Omen hit theaters starring Gregory Peck and directed by Richard Donner. The story? A little boy who might secretly be the devil's child. Before filming even began, strange things started happening. Peck's flight to London was struck by lightning. Then screenwriter David Seltzer had the same terrifying experience on a separate flight. Even the producer Harvey Bernhard wasn't spared. Lightning hit his plane too. During a safari scene, the baboons used on set suddenly went berserk, attacking the actor's car. Trainers said they had never acted like that before. And here are some creepy facts that most people don't know. The original child actor considered for Damien had to be replaced after suffering mysterious seizures during rehearsals. Several crew members reported hearing unexplained whispers and doors slamming on the set at night, long after filming wrapped. And get this, one of the helicopters used in aerial shots crashed during a rehearsal, narrowly missing the crew. Some claim the crash mirrored a death scene in the movie. On top of all of that, the hotel where parts of the crew stayed in London was bombed by the IRA shortly after they checked out. Coincidence? Perhaps. With lightning strikes, accidents, aggressive animals, and unexplained events piling up, whispers of a curse started spreading among the cast and crew. Many people now call it the Omen curse. So was it just bad luck, or did a movie about the Antichrist bring something dark into the world? And I have to ask, if you were on set, would you finish the project or just say, to hell with this? I know what I would do. Anyhow, follow for more creepy content, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
You know what? The irony of the movie being called Omen, you would think that they would be paying attention to each and every omen that was put right in front of their faces.
NASA has already publicly stated there's 40 billion with a B, 40 billion watery Earth-like planets just in our galaxy. That is official. There are human populations on these planets, and this is because evolution ultimately is written into the laws of quantum physics. You could and do have planets that are entirely oceanic, where they don't have any continental mass above the surface of the oceans. And then you're going to have an aquatic species, and it could be any of a variety of types like we see in our oceans, that become humanoid and sentient, and they will have, you know, limbs and heads with eyes, nose, mouth, ears, just like we have, or more or less similar. Then on planets where they do have land, you might have bird-like beings, you might have beings that look like they're kind of cat-like human or a dog-like human.
Either increase your sacrifice or reduce your desire. If you want your world and your life to change, you have to make a choice. It's as simple as this. Everything that you want is already here in this earth, but you just have to make this choice. And once you do this, then you actually can figure out if you actually have what it takes to get what you want.
Well, you guys, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for always stopping by, watching, and learning with me. If you haven't already, do me the biggest favor and smash that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button and hit the hype button too on your way out of here, and I will definitely catch you on the next one.